Hi, everyone, and welcome to another of our daily devotions. This devotion is for Thursday, the 29th of October, 2020. And today I'm going to be reading from the second chapter of the Apostle Paul's letter to the church at Rome. This is Romans chapter 2. Listen to what the apostle writes to the believers in the city of Rome, where he had never visited yet. He writes, "A person is not a Jew who is one outwardly, nor is circumcision merely outward and physical. No, a person is a Jew who is one inwardly, and circumcision is a circumcision of the heart, by the Spirit, not by the written code. Such a person's praise is not from other people, but from God." The Apostle Paul's message to the believers at Rome, where there was contention, a dispute between believers who had come to faith out of Judaism and believers who had come to faith out of what was normally considered paganism at the time, or no religion at all, Jews and Gentiles, as it were. And part of the discussion that Paul undertakes with the believers at Rome is that everybody, whether Jew or Gentile, whether coming to Christ from a religious background or no background whatsoever, all are on the exact same footing before God. Everyone is accountable to God and God alone. And religious expressions, activities, outward signs of a person's faith. And Paul uses the figure, a kind of shorthand of circumcision, which was the most obvious sign of Judaism outwardly. But he uses that as a kind of shorthand for talking about all of the outward religious observances of these people. And he tells us that one who has a right relationship with God is dealt with by God not merely because of their outward manifestations of their faith, but rather because of what's in their hearts. And the purity, the holiness, the rightness, the sign of faithfulness is inward, performed in us by God's Spirit. And it's the presence of the Spirit that makes all the difference. And it is an inward difference, which is not to say that this inward change of heart doesn't have outward expressions. Of course it does. But what really counts is what goes on in a person's soul, what goes on in a person's mind and in their heart. In this way, you and I may not receive praise and recognition outwardly from others, from people who, with their eyes and using their judgment, look on our lives and make decisions about what kind of people we are. That's not where our praise comes from. Rather, our praise comes from God, who looks upon the heart, who knows what we really think and what we really feel, and knows what our strengths and our weaknesses are. With God, there are no excuses to be made, no explanations to be offered. God knows exactly who I am, and my praise, that is to say, the good things that may be said about me, The good things that really count are the things that God says. You are my child. You are my beloved. You are one with whom I am well pleased. You are a good and faithful servant. You are forgiven. You are a subject of my grace and a citizen of my kingdom. If I hear God say these things within my spirit and to my heart, then what other people say couldn't matter less. So today, let's allow God's Spirit to work in us and faithfully listen for praise from God. Oh God, be with everyone who is sharing in this devotion today, and all of those who may be feeling alone and separated and fearful or anxious at this time. Gracious God, be with each one who questions whether they're doing enough, whether their outward practices are sufficient and pleasing to you. Be with us, O God, and help us inwardly to hear your praise, your commendation, your words of strength and encouragement. May we hear as Jesus heard by the Spirit when he came up from the waters of baptism. This is my beloved child, with whom I am well pleased. Amen. Hey, thanks for being with me for this devotion today. I hope this day and every day you hear some praise from God. And I'll be back tomorrow with another of these daily devotions, and I pray that God will bless you until then.